And we're recording it, and the gang's all here. So, first item up on the agenda is additions or deletions to the agenda. Go ahead, Bob.
Rich, I have one. I heard that despite my conversation with you, that there wasn't going to be pay orders this week because of the holiday. They ended up having some pay orders that you guys have already approved them. So
Yep.
You probably want to add that to approval somewhere on here as well, formally.
Okay, I thought we always did that, but that's cool. Well, why don't we do that under under pre-budget discussion, and then that way, if there's any questions, we can get Heidi out of here.
There you go.
And,
that was it for me.
Oh, actually, Laura's not here. Laura's supposed to be here. She was running a couple minutes late. So, any other additions or deletions to the agenda? Okay, hearing none. Bridget, members of the public. We've got the Valley News, and we have Dana, where's Dana?
The big D.
Oh, the big D. So we have the big D.
No, nothing tonight, sir. Thank you, guys.
Okay, how about the Valley News? No. Okay, cool. Members of the staff. I know Anne Marie Scott was here first, and I see we got Bridget, and I think that is it. Going once, going twice.
I have nothing, thank you.
Thank you. Bridget? That wasn't Bridget. That was.
Oh, that was pretty.
That was me.
Oh,
This is Anne Marie. I'm all set as well. Thank you.
okay. Thank you to folks. Sorry about that. Old business. We have an electric bus update, Electric Avenue bus. I guess that there was something additional we were going to add to the bus.
I don't know what that means, but
Well,
I'll let Heidi talk about that. I know we got the application in on time. There was a little bit of confusion there, but I think we got it straightened out. I'll let you go ahead, Heidi.
Yes, I was going to say, I think my confusion had to do with the 2023 application versus the 2024. I think I clicked off something incorrectly, but I went back through the whole thing, and we did not need to add a wheelchair lift to get all 345,000. So we are with the original plan of the bus. It's been submitted for repayment, and I think we're all set.
Okay, when we did the agenda, we thought we had to add the wheelchair. So I think that was.
Oh yeah. So like
Yeah.
Heidi said, it was just a little. Luckily, the
My
next year's.
confusion.
Yeah, the next year's does not include that. So we got
Well,
20. It would be 20. We would have gotten 20,000 less.
Oh, good.
So that's good news.
Good job, folks. Is there any other comments?
Thank you, Heidi, by the way, very much for your help with that.
Okay. Hearing nothing, I guess we covered that pretty well. So pre-budget discussion. So we just want to put this on the agenda so people can start thinking about budget, because that's one of the big things that we do. So we do give Heidi a little bit of a break. So we did get the SU budget was passed. Bob will say when. I think it was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. It was the third Wednesday of the month. So I know Dwight, you came, and Kate was there. So River Valleys was well represented. I think, remind me if I'm wrong, Bob, but I think we had every voting member except for Wyndham, right?
That is correct.
Yeah, which is pretty good. We never used to get that. And there's some good discussion. Unfortunately, or fortunately, expenses aren't up a lot, but reimbursements are down quite a bit. So it was a little sticker shock, but we did have some fund balance we were able to move. So the increases aren't as bad as they could be, and the need doesn't seem to stop. So, but the SU budget is all completed, voted on, and we used to not vote on the agency fund budget, which is now called the something other budget. And that is, we voted on that too. We were putting that off, but there's only a couple items that really are affected, because in that budget now is the food services, which we have to do, some technology, some some
The
position.
EL teacher, for
So-
River Valley. There's a few other things that doesn't affect River Valley.
Right. And there's discussion that maybe next year we're going to incorporate that right in the superintendent's budget. So instead of voting 4 budgets, we'll only vote 3 budgets. So, and eventually, Eli, you get to go to those meetings and you'll have a real blast because it's even more confusing. So, the superintendent's budget, the MTSS budget, the early ed budget, and the fee for service budgets were all approved at the SU level. So she will at least have firm numbers on those because those don't change. If there's more or less students, they just have to figure it out. But I will compliment Heidi and our current Lori, who's leaving us at the end of the month, and Bob and our previous administration over at central office. The important thing to remember that it is a budget and they have had surpluses over the last few years, so they don't just spend the money because it's in the budget. You know, if they don't need to spend it, they don't just spend it. So we should give them all a thank you for that. So Heidi, we're going to start working on I know in Tracy's report, I think your report, you've already had some discussions on budgets. One of the principals' reports.
I met with Heidi, what was it, last week or the week before? Probably the week before.
The week before, I met with both Tracy and Francesca.
And I met with Greg briefly today.
Yep. Okay.
So we're starting the process. Yeah.
Cool. And we're looking sometime in January you'll have the West River budget done. That has to be in by the end of this month, right?
Yes, hopefully it'll be done. But yes, I'm prepared anytime you want to start talking about it, but I will plan on January unless I hear differently.
Okay. And so I think what we need to do as a board and what we need to do as a community is, I think there's going to be a lot of changes. One of the things we found in the SU budget is reimbursements are way down. And I think, is that somebody coming in?
Oh, okay.
Reimbursements are way down. The landscape changed in Vermont a little bit, with our legislature. There's a little bit of a change there. There's a pretty big change nationally, and there's talk about they're doing away with the Department of Education at the federal level. And this last year, the budget increase for us was not significant, but the tax increase was pretty huge, more so in Dover than in Wardsboro. So I do think that we really need to think about, we usually don't look we look at a budget first, but I think we also need to get a lot more input this year. In the last couple of years, we've had a lot of issues trying to bring staff in to both buildings. The landscape is also changing because if you haven't been reading the Valley News, wherever she is over there, I don't know if it's her reports, but Wyndham Southwest is having a lot of issues. They have money that is unaccounted for, things that weren't budgeted. It's very interesting, and that superintendent is trying to keep the ship afloat. They have a lot of people they have a lot of positions that they're having trouble filling, and I think they're having some meetings, or they're going to be having some meetings with the state. I don't know if people remember last year there was some stuff that the state board, the state education department of ed had spoken to them about some issues they were having down there. I don't know if everybody's aware of it. Mikey may not be, and I don't know if you would be. But there was actually a move several years ago, 3 commissioners ago, hired a gentleman named Dan French to do a study looking at the SUs in this area. And his recommendation was that they dissolve Wyndham Central and Wyndham Southwest and form one SU. We'd actually had some meetings when Stephen John was our superintendent, so that was like 3 superintendents ago, to maybe combine some services between Wyndham Southwest and Wyndham Central. We also then, Dan French, who wrote the study, and we invited him to come to WCSU or Wyndham Central to talk to us about what he was trying to do to us. And then when Bill was superintendent during COVID, we actually had the executive committee of Wyndham Central met with Dan French to say, what are your plans? So that may wind up rearing its ugly head again too, which changes a lot of landscape. I know West River is looking at combining a bunch of their schools. There may be an opportunity. They may ask us, or we may want to look into maybe doing something with the elementary schools with them. We're not all like districts, but you can be part of it and not be part of the whole West River group. So there's a whole bunch of things. And I think what we need to do is we need to be pretty open this time around to suggestions. But I think the most important thing we need to do is get a lot of input from parents, from taxpayers, from our administration, because I think it may not be as easy a budget year as we've had in the past. So I just want to, anytime you speak to anybody, it would be really good to have people come and give us their thoughts. We did, Bob, I know in Dover 2 meetings ago, we did have a resident taxpayer come in and ask some questions, and I don't remember if we've responded to those yet, but we need to make sure they're front and foremost in our budget discussion, just so we can respond to those concerns.
I think you did address some at the next meeting, Rich.
Yeah, but we want to make sure we keep that when we discuss budget, and we do want to try to get as much input as we can so that when we go to the meeting, remember it's a live meeting, so that we can be prepared and have responses and answers for folks. So everybody good with that?
Richard?
Yeah, Laura?
Yeah, that sounds wise. The one question / suggestion I have is, do we want to do more than we usually do? And I think we usually do a fine job of inviting folks to come in to our budget discussions. For instance, do we want to put an ad in the paper or send home notices with parents, or put up flyers, because I think I've heard a lot of angst about property taxes. I'm anticipating hearing from a lot of folks. It would be a bummer if that happened after a lot of work as opposed to at the beginning of a lot of work, and we were able to incorporate that. So that's my only thought. I appreciate you bringing all that forward. Thanks.
Yeah, and I think maybe that would be a good discussion if everybody could think about that. Do we want to do some more advertising? In some of your bigger districts, they do have budget committees, and we actually tried that in Dover for a while. And the problem was the budget committee wound up basically being the board, and not a lot of other people participated. So I don't know how we do that. I was just hoping that if we could talk about it and have a few minutes at every meeting just to discuss it. And like I said, if we see people out there, we can suggest it. Laura's suggestion of maybe taking an ad out, I don't know if we have to do that, but it may not hurt. We are on TV now more, so people can go see what we're talking about. That's helped a little bit. So anything we can think of. So Laura, why don't we plan on talking about that suggestion and anything else anybody else could think of for our next meeting, and we'll try to figure out a good way. If we start in January, then make sure that people are involved. Mm-hmm. I think also it's what I like about where we're doing ours too is we're kind of over the holidays, so we're not. It's not in December when people are having a lot of stuff going on to be involved, so that may be a plus for us too. But Laura's point's very good. We'd rather talk about it before we put the budget together and present it than try to talk about it and try to make changes at the meeting itself where we're approving a budget.
You got a hand, good sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's a great idea, and I think it's really budget season. A lot of times we get all the way to the end of the process, and that's when everyone gets the information. So if we're going to be discussing it at every meeting, we should let people know that you can come to any meeting and get something. Bring your questions early.
And again, that was kind of the idea of talking about it now.
Exactly, it's perfect. The other thing I had tomorrow night is there's maybe Bob knows more about in Brattleboro. I think is the AOE's doing their presentation. Their Listen and Learn. They added a date. Maybe Bob knows.
Do you know about that,
a little bit
Bob?
more about it. I'm not sure what they're trying to sell us, but what they're
Yeah, so that's something that the secretary's been doing around the state, different opportunities, and then her first round there was nothing in Windham County, and so they added a second round at Brattleboro tomorrow night. There's an hour, I think, from 4 to 5, or 4 to 5:30 maybe for educators, and then I think it might be 6 to 8. If that sounds right. I'm just going off the top of my head for the public. And anybody can come to that and show up and listen to their presentation, and then I think they divide into different work groups is what they did for the regional supers one, and then have question and answers and that kind of thing in small groups. So I don't know exactly what the public ones look like, but I am intending to attend the educators one tomorrow. We sent it out to our staff. We sent out the public thing to all parents and families in the SU as well a couple weeks ago when it was announced, so people have that information. But yeah, it's an opportunity to kind of express concerns and listen to what they're saying about different things, and yeah, kind of see where it's part of their collection of information around the state. So there's also, I think, a virtual option as well.
The virtual option as well.
Yeah. And Rich, before you move off of budget stuff, at one point, the tax letter did come out today, and Heidi has that and has reviewed that and might be able to speak a little bit to that if you wish.
Would you like me to speak to that, Rich?
Sure.
I don't know if anybody has seen it. It was this afternoon that we saw it. What I can tell you is the yield is expected to be 1,300 below last year's yield, which is going to have a big impact. I also think from what I read, they're not indicating what the threshold is going to be, but I think it's actually going to come in lower from what they showed as an average per pupil cost in the state this year. I think it's coming out lower than I thought. I think it's going to be just under 16,000 per pupil. So I know that River Valley was in the low 15,000s, but I just wanted to throw that out there, and hopefully we'll get some more information sooner rather than later. But the yield is significantly lower.
Well, remember too, the tax letter is only a recommendation, and then the legislature has to decide what it is.
Right, which won't happen until June.
And governor.
Well, I was going to say that, Laura, but everybody's cutting into what I'm trying to say. So,
Sorry.
yes, the governor has to sign off on whatever the legislature says, and then the legislature can go in and veto whatever, or can override his vetoes if he vetoes it. So, but anyways, and again, that's one of the reasons why we start a little later, so we can have a better feel for numbers. And again, I'll use the example, you weren't here, but one year we were looking at like tripling the tax rate, and by the time it all sugared out in May, it was a very little increase because we had real numbers instead of estimated numbers and recommended numbers. So that's another reason why we put budgeting off a little bit. Good, Laura?
Yes. Sorry, Richard.
Oh, no, that's fine. Heidi was talking and you were talking at the same time, but good. Are we good with budget? Everybody okay? Cool. So while we're talking about budget, who wants to spend $600 and something thousand? Well, not quite 600. 597,000, 598,000.
I would like to make a motion to approve pay warrant number 23 in the amount of $597,445.03.
We're showing 593 here, Kate.
Pay order.
Fun. Okay.
593,664.79.
Why is the pay order the numbers the same though?
I got I was reading the one from that Sue sent Wednesday.
We just got that one.
Oh, we had two.
We had 3 altogether, but they may put 2 together. What number did you have, Kate?
I had pay warrant number 23, and the number I had was 597,445.03.
Probably the total.
It's the total.
Yeah.
Is that the total of them combined?
Yeah, it's gotta be.
Yes.
No, because it's 9 and 2 is 11.
Carry the one.
Yeah.
Oh,
Plus-
okay.
plus the
And
other
plus the
two.
673. Okay, so you're doing the total. So give me that number again. I'm sorry, Kate.
Do we need to increase our math budget? Pay warrant number 23 in the amount of $597,445.03. Heidi's nodding yes. Okay.
It's okay.
I got Heidi's math over my math or Rich's math.
Yeah, definitely not yet.
That is definitely correct. Thank you.
Okay, cool. We have a second to that motion?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. 597-44503. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 It appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is. So tell me, has anybody ever spent that kind of money that quick before?
I think did we like within the last year we definitely have.
Oh yeah, I'm sure, but I mean it's very amazing. At one of the Dover Selectmen's meeting, they argued for 2 hours to spend $100 on a window well covering, but then in 5 minutes they bought a ladder truck and they bought a dump truck and they bought something else for like $1 million. So, Superintendent, how much are you going to spend for us tonight?
Get a
Deerfield
hand up.
Valley News has
Go ahead, Deerfield Valley News. I'm sorry.
All right, sorry, I think I missed it, but what was the pay warrant for?
It's for our pays, everything we pay. We do it at almost every meeting. So it's tuition payments, it's payments to for supplies, it's materials like our oil. It's all our pay warrant. Sometime if you want, you can go to the school and ask to see a pay run, or we can, I don't know, how can we get her a pay run, Heidi or Bob, so she can see all the neat stuff we buy without names?
I'm sure that we could send a copy, but we would just redact information if you wanted us to do that.
That's going to take you guys forever to redact information. You know what? Can you send that first sheet that we get, the first 3 sheets? It just kind of, it doesn't break it down
Yeah.
like who the tuition is for, but just tuition. Can we send her that?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. With something that amount, usually, though, a lot of that's tuition. How much of that was tuition to the different schools, Heidi, roughly? Do you remember? Don't look it up. I just didn't know if you had a guess.
Unfortunately, I've been looking at so many things with numbers that I would not even try to guess right now without going back.
But I'm sure the lion's share of it was...
It was a big bulk of tuition. These last 2 pay runs have been quite a bit of tuition.
Right, because our normal ones are quite a bit less.
Yes, significantly.
Does that answer your question? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. So we'll try to get something to send to you, okay?
Awesome, thank
I
you.
was going to suggest that if you could send Heidi an email with your email so she knows who to send it to.
Thank you.
Hers is hruss@wyndhamcentral.org.
Thanks, Bob.
That would probably be the easiest way to go about it.
So Heidi, I think we're all done. If you'd like to go enjoy yourself,
I would love to go have some dinner. Thank you.
okay, have something good. Bob.
Yeah. All right. Well, we obviously just came back from a little extended break for students and a slightly shorter break for staff. They had 2 days of professional development. The bulk of the elementary staff were working with EL, the new curriculum, as part of Jen's rollout plan. They had some time with the trainer. They had some time with grade level groups, and they had some time for their own planning time as well. So there was a lot going on with those folks. The crisis teams from around the SU met actually at Dover and did an Alice training, and we'll do more information about that in a future meeting. But Alice is is an acronym for a bunch of things that have to do with our crisis response. It's a what they call a what's the phrase I'm looking for here, Francesca and Tracy? It's a options-based response, where you use sort of situational awareness to make decisions around how to respond to the situation depending on what it is. At any rate, so staff are getting trained on that. That type of training is a requirement now in Vermont for school officials and crisis teams, and so we did a separate type of training last year, and this one is a little bit more in depth, or a lot more in depth, I should say. And Greg did a great job with getting that rolled out for our crisis teams. So the principals included were all in Dover for both those days for a couple of long days. So that was that. And then I think my new cabinet report went out today. And so you can see what's going on at the cabinet level, the different people. The tax letter, which Heidi already mentioned, has just come out. A lot of things happening as we get the rush into budget season here. And as Rich already mentioned, the SU budget passed. So you'll see that in the assessments as Heidi builds for you guys. I think that's it. We are getting close. I know this board in particular, we had talked a little bit about principal evaluation last year, and we're getting closer to the time for the 360 evaluation that the principals will be doing to collect feedback from 360 degrees around them, different stakeholders, and then I'll be sharing those results with them, and we'll be digesting all that in the late winter. But that will be coming out probably just after the winter break. That's kind of what's going on from my seat, and I don't know if there's any questions. I'm happy to answer them.
Anybody got any questions for Bob? Laura, Kate? No, Laura. Kate's good. Laura, you good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
No questions about the facial hair. That's good.
No. No, it's hunting season almost over, so we'll expect it gone eventually. The tie missing too. I mean, Jessica said something about you're not having your tie on also, but
Yeah, well,
sometimes they're tight after Thanksgiving. I feel like you're choking.
This is true.
So, if everybody's good with the superintendent's report, thank you, Bob. So, principals reports, and we always do I always get it wrong. So.
The visitor.
Visitors are up first. See if you can hit it out of the park there, Tracy.
I'll try.
Okay.
So I don't have anything to add other than what was on my report. We are excited. December 11th, Dover will be hosting a half day in service for EL training. We don't usually get the privilege and pleasure to host a in-service at our building, but we are this year. So we're super excited not to have to travel and to welcome in teachers from around the district. We had a really great ALICE training, like Bob had mentioned. I was previously ALICE trained in my other district, and I felt so much more prepared in case of emergencies. So I'm great that our teachers will have that and our students will have that. And I do have, Bob had said you all wanted an update on Panorama on our caregiver and parent survey. Is that something you want me to talk about now, or are we going to wait for another time?
No, let's do it when we're in Dover next meeting.
Okay.
And then maybe that's good. You could send it out ahead of time, anything that is a handout, just so we can look at it. And then if we have any questions, we're not reading it while we're listening to you.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah, the 16th is what we talked about, Rich, as far as them presenting something. So right. I wanted them to have some time to get together. They had some access issues to the data that IT is hopefully squaring away for them. So,
yes, I finally got access this afternoon.
Good.
Yeah, there was, I noticed, Bob, in your report, it said there was IT issues and there was issues at the Wardsboro building. But are there IT? Was it like Was it just that it wasn't available, or do we have IT issues in Dover too, in the Dover building?
I'm not sure what part of the cabinet report you're referencing on that. They know they've done a lot of work on switches and wiring in all the different buildings, so I think there shouldn't be any issues in either building at this point, I don't believe.
Because it said in your report, no, in your cabinet report, they did something in the Newbrook building, the Newfane building, and the Leland and Gray gym and the Wardsboro gym for better connectivity.
It's adding more access points.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Anybody any questions for Tracy? You done well, Tracy.
All right, well, I will echo Bob and Tracy about the Alice training. I too have had it in the past, but this was much more in depth and gave us a better feel about the decision-making process and the options that we have and the outcomes based on those decisions. So it was pretty eye-opening. Yeah, there'll be more about that. So that was right before November break, and having a well-deserved break was really enjoyable, I think, for everybody. And we got some snow, so I was happy about that.
I wasn't.
Well,
Mikey
you know.
wasn't. Mikey was in Florida.
Oh, well, there you go. I guess the big news is Matt Martin referred a company in Springfield, Vermont, close, Black River Innovations, that their main goal is to get STEAM professional development into schools.
Oh, nice.
So I met with him today. He's coming over in January to do some work with the staff. And they have a lot of resources that they'll be able to help us with. So we're really excited about that. And finally, the circus is coming to town next week. We have a visiting artist coming in all week. Troy Wonderly, I guess it's been kind of a tradition here. So I'm looking forward to that. He's going to be here all week with a nice big show on Friday.
Nice.
So other than that, it's good to see the kids, and they were having a blast sledding this morning and this afternoon. So it was good. And that's it.
Any questions for Francine? No? Kate and Laura, you guys good too? You folks good? Yeah, you got thumbs up,
Good.
Kate. Cool. So the STEAM thing is exciting because that's something they've been looking for a little while.
We're a STEAM school, right? So, yeah, we're excited. Our teacher actually started the smart lamps. And so that's moving forward, and I'm hoping this gentleman will help rejuvenate things in the classroom as well.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Sounds like our administrators are doing really well. So we appreciate that. Let us know. I think if nobody has any questions for them, we're on to, is there any other new business from anybody? Everybody here good? Laura, Kate, you folks good?
Good.
Bob and Tracy? Thank you, Tracy. Cool. I guess we're up to the consent agenda. Minutes of the 11/18/24 meeting to approve. Did everybody get a chance to review them? If there's no comments, we will by unanimous consent accept the minutes as submitted. Good job, Meredith. Thank you. I have no correspondence. Bob, anybody correspondence?
Got nothing.
No. Guess what we're up to? Bob, you're going to be really upset with us.
I think this is a record for you guys, at least in my time.
Very efficient. Very efficient.
We have nothing left to talk about.
Right? Well, I'm gonna go make dinner too then.
Okay, well, just remember we're going to get a credit because come January, it's going to be some long, late nights. You're going to be burning the candle for a long time.
Wow.
Okay, can we have the most important motion at any meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Oh,
job.
excellent job.
I'll second that.
What time is it?
6:35.
Wow, that is definitely.
Okay, 6:35. We'll move to
Time is
adjourn.
going.
All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Well, that was incredible.
Wow.